On the surface, K-Pop Demon Hunters and How to Train Your Dragon are two very different movies. One is about slaying demons while singing very catchy songs, and the other involves dragons. But if you look beneath the surface, they both share the same basic recipe, the same blueprint, if you will, which is why both of them are so well beloved. And in this video, we're gonna find out what they have in common. I'm Stephen Ray, and this is Ray of Power.
Ray of Power, for sci-fi and for fantasy. Ray of Power, we mock without apology. Ray of Power, we always say the book was best, so grab your sword and take a quest.
First, we have the introduction, or the status quo. You have the characters introduced, the world building, the magic, and the basic premise all explained very quickly and with very short amount of exposition.
That's Stoic the Vast, chief of the tribe. They say that when he was a baby, he popped a dragon's head clean off of its shoulders. Do I believe it? Yes, I do.
Demons have always haunted our world, stealing our souls and channeling strength back to their king, Tiamat. Until heroes arose to defend us.
I was watching the Hobbit movies recently, and it got me thinking how Lord of the Rings is probably the perfect representation of a great introduction.
It began with the forging of the great rings. 3 were given to the elves, immortal, wisest and fairest of all beings.
But the Hobbit movies seemed more lengthy with more flashbacks in the opening scene, and in my opinion, it took too long for it to get going. My point is, if you're going to have exposition, it needs to be short, to the point, and very necessary. This leads us to step 2, which is nonconformity. We see the main character and how they're different. Rumi is established as a hunter, but also half demon. She's also losing her voice just before the most important song of her life. This immediately generates sympathy and a lot of relatability. She doesn't fit in, and she has to hide her insecurities. In How to Train Your Dragon, Hiccup also doesn't fit in. He's not like the other Vikings. Belle in Beauty and the Beast also fits this archetype, and there's even an entire song about how weird and different she is compared to the rest of her village.
Very different from the rest of us. She's nothing like the rest of us.
Hiccup is not big, he's not buff, and he's not a good fighter. In both cases, they are related to a famous person. Rumi is the daughter of the previous hunter. She has big shoes to fill, but she doesn't think she can because of her patterns and being part demon. Hiccup is the son of the head Viking. He also has big shoes to fill. Literally. I mean, seriously, how big are the guy's shoes? He's got to be at least 6'6". After an unnecessary amount of Google searching, he probably has about size 15 foot, just in case you're interested. Next is the secret. In both cases, it's quickly established that they're hiding something. Rumi is hiding her patterns and being half demon. Hiccup finds an injured dragon and named him Toothless, because, you know, he's toothless. This is his big secret, as dragons are the enemies, just like demons are the enemies in K-pop. Rumi meets with Jinu in private and doesn't tell her friends. Hiccup trains his dragon in private and also doesn't tell his friends. Throughout both movies, there is a deep dread because the viewer knows that whenever there's a secret, it will be inevitably exposed later in the movie. This would be a type of Chekhov's gun. If the gun is shown in Act 1, then it's going to be fired in Act 3. A secret is a great part of storytelling because it builds tension and creates good conflict. We all have a secret we don't want anyone else to know about, so it's very relatable. I mean, who doesn't have a life-size marionette of Bozo the Clown in their basement? Oh, it's just me?
I'm gonna throw up.
In any case, every scene we wonder if now will be the time that someone finds out the secret. If someone does find out, then what will the main character do? Will they try to hide the secret? Will they try to bribe or even threaten the person that finds out? All these questions are great storytelling. Next, we see progress. This is when the main characters start getting better at what they're doing. This often comes in the form of a montage.
We're gonna need a montage. Ooh, it takes a montage.
Hiccup learns how to train and control dragons better. He finds out their strengths, their weaknesses, what puts them to sleep, what foods they like, and all that type of stuff. Rumi and the others start making progress in the Takedown song, and all the while they're slaying demons. Rumi is growing closer to Jinu, and her voice starts getting better. With K-Pop Demon Hunters, it's interesting because they're simultaneously making progress and having setbacks. They're making progress because the Honmoon is getting worse and worse, and the Saja boys are also gaining popularity along with the Huntrix. This is an interesting one because both heroes and villains are both gaining momentum, and it builds to an amazing climax. There are countless other examples of this, like Spider-Man learning his powers. With Beauty and the Beast, they're getting closer and closer together, also in a montage, often with a song. Enemies to lovers often have this type of a montage where they're getting closer together. Probably my favorite example would be Mulan in the song I'll Make a Man Out of You.
Let's get down to business.
Often you'll get the crisis averted moment. This is when the secret is almost exposed and the characters have to take risks or go to great lengths to hide the secret. This is when they barely avoid discovery. They will sigh and say, "Whoa, that was too close."
Boy, that was close.
No, that was vile. You owe me big.
This is a way to reinforce the stakes and show how easy it is for their secret to be discovered. Hiccup's sort of girlfriend gets curious and starts noticing that something strange is happening. Zoe and Mira also question Rumi and why she's acting so weird. There's usually a fight or some argument during this part of the story. This creates good conflict and makes the characters look more real and more fleshed out. Another great part of storytelling is push the button.
Don't just sit there. Push the button.
Next is the what can go wrong moment. Just by this question, you know what's gonna happen. This is just before the climax, when everything is going well for the character, but you know it's not gonna last. With Hiccup, everyone is looking up to him and he's gaining momentum. Everyone thinks he's a great dragon slayer and he's finally gaining his father's approval and the approval of all the villagers. With Rumi, she gets her voice back. Jinu decides that he's gonna throw the match, so to speak. He's gonna have the Saja boys fail in the song. The Honmoon is gaining power, and everyone is looking great. She's singing the song, and it's about to work out. During this time, the audience knows it's just not going to last. It's not going to be happy. Something's going to go wrong. The reason this works is because it really builds expectation and suspense. It is the build-up just before the climax. In music, it would be like the pause just before everyone comes in on the chorus. Next is the worlds collide moment. This is when the secret is discovered, and usually very publicly. The demons expose Rumi's patterns on live TV in front of millions of people, and her closest friends find out she's part demon. They also discover that she was meeting with Jinu in private without them knowing about it. They don't trust her, and they even raise weapons to fight her. For Hiccup, his dragon gets loose and comes in to rescue him, and he refuses to kill the dragon. His secret is exposed that he's been trying to protect the dragons instead of trying to slay the dragons. This also is done very publicly for all the people to see. In many movies, this is when the hero gets captured and put into prison. Robin Hood is chained up, Superman is wounded from kryptonite, Sherlock Holmes is trapped and he's about to die, Buzz Lightyear finds out that he's a toy and he gets depressed, and so many other examples of this. If it's a heist, the thief's plan falls apart. If it's a romance, the couple breaks up in a huge fight. One of my favorite examples about this is Mrs. Doubtfire. It's a hilarious movie with Robin Williams, and the best part is he's living a double life. He's dressing up as this old woman, Mrs. Doubtfire, and he's watching his own kids as like a nanny, And it's really funny, but the ending is the best, where he's switching back and forth at the same restaurant, trying to fool both people, and then worlds collide in just an absolutely epic way. If you haven't watched the movie, it's a great example of this very thing. This brings us to the all hope is lost moment.
And just when all hope is lost?
This is the darkest part of the night just before the dawn. It's during this time that the main character is often alone and forced to think about what just happened. It's the digesting of all the circumstances that has gone wrong. They contemplate what they are living for and what they truly believe deep down.
Maybe I didn't go for my father. Maybe what I really wanted was to prove I could do things right.
It's when they're forced to confront what they've been putting off for so long. It's often when they see the lie for what it is. For Rumi, it's about whether or not she should have hid her patterns in the first place. She learns that being part demon is who she is and nothing to be ashamed of, as it was not her fault. For Hiccup, he discovers that he doesn't need to be a rough, tough Viking. He is forced to understand that he shouldn't try to be something he's not. The ending of the Avengers, Infinity War, also shows this, where all hope is lost, half of the world disintegrates, and it's a great setup for Endgame. Then we see the recovery and transformation. This is when the main character rises from the ashes stronger than ever before, but with a new perspective and often a peace of mind that they didn't have before. They come out unashamed and a new person. Rumi comes back with her patterns fully exposed, and she says the words,
"We are hunters, voices strong."
This is when they have the iconic song, What It Sounds Like. I still get goosebumps every time I watch this scene. It is epic. For Hiccup, this is when he and his friends decide to take the dragons and use them to fight the big baddie instead of trying to slay all the dragons like they thought before. I love this part because not only do we see them fight the big baddie, but they use everything that they learned throughout the entire movie, and it falls into place perfectly. This is also the part where, in many movies, you have all those little scenes that didn't seem to mean much, these minor characters that were introduced and you kind of forgot about them, but then they come back at the end of the movie and it all makes sense in the best way possible.
On your left.
In Avengers Endgame, the entire movie is this moment. They're all rising from the ashes after being defeated by Thanos in Infinity War. The Avengers Assemble moment is so epic for this very reason. Everything comes together. All the characters that were introduced in previous movies come back for one final battle, and it is glorious. Last, you have A Whole New World. This is after their victory is shown to be greater than their original goal. The Demon Hunters' goal was to simply complete the honeymoon to protect the people. Their goal was not to actually fight the demons. They fought them, but their ultimate goal was to more make a shield. But instead, they end up making a sword to actually slay Guima instead of just keep him at bay. This is actually a far greater victory than the audience ever imagined. For Hiccup, his original goal was to just be a dragon slayer and a great Viking. But instead, he became a dragon tamer, a dragon trainer, if you will. They're using the dragons for their benefit instead of just slaying them. A whole new world opens up where they live in harmony. Brandon Sanderson described this as promising a toy car and then later giving them a real car. You give them a minor goal that seems big, but then later you subvert the expectations in a great way by amplifying the final result. They didn't just defend themselves from the demons, they slew the demons once and for all. Hiccup didn't just slay the dragon, but slew the great dragon that you didn't even know was there till the end. Belle's goal was to tame the beast, but in the end, she transforms the beast and turns him back into a man. A greater victory than she ever imagined. With my own book that's coming out soon, my story follows a lot of these same beats. A 15-year-old girl named Satchel has a miserable life with her depressed and angry father. Her goal is to raise enough money to move out with her little sister and start a new life. But then she finds a magical staircase in a forest. It promises her everything she wants, but the more she uses its magic, the more monsters appear and attack her village. Now, she has to pass 5 trials from a goddess to undo her mistake and save her village. There are many of the same story arcs, like the Darkest of Night moment, the Progress montage moment, and many other things like that. There's a lot of magic, monsters, twists and turns. There's a sarcastic animal companion she's forced to be with. It's a great time, and if you like fantasy and these type of stories, you should check it out. It's coming out pretty soon. In conclusion, many stories can have the same outline, yet be completely different stories. Beauty and the Beast follows a lot of these beats, but no one would say that that movie is similar to How to Train Your Dragon. No one would say that K-Pop Demon Hunters is exactly like The Avengers. This is not plagiarism, and it's not a cheap copy of something else. The goal is to make the story different enough, but it can still follow the same basic premise and plot lines. It's a lot like saying that a strawberry shortcake is the same thing as a chocolate cake or a tiramisu. They may all be cakes, and they may have the same ingredients like flour, eggs, sugar, things like that, but they're completely different cakes entirely. You can have 1,000 stories that follow this outline, and they can all be different and fun to read and just unique in their own right. That's all for now. Until next time, push the button.
Hello?
Push the button! Ray of power for sci-fi and for fantasy.